It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. Hey, they thinking I'm triggered, you better pull it. I'm the last dragon, first nigga to bite the bullet. I'm one of the illest to pursue this. Niggas is foolish to play with me, but I'm sticking to it. You gotta check for the publishing. I might need a Pulitzer out of Jekyll and Hyde. Flipping these people are puzzling. They come from my perspective. The love is so humble and disagree, and they attack you. They wish they could muzzle them. Got respect for the miles. Wrist chilly, I covered it. Took a covenant, promised to get this cheese. No assistance from the government. Suffering in the city just enough to get by. Now I laugh at my struggle, similar to Kawhi. Money and murder, we know that it's sanctioned. I only trust Benjamin Franklin. I feel like I'm Langston with a hue opposite of my sanctum. All these rap niggas, y'all stand, I lyrically spank them. I tap of them on if I'm in. If I was single, I ask for a date with Glorilla Speedy. That's pretty moment I'm in. My tumbo finger meaning nobody scoring on me. The last second I'm pulling like Robert Horry, homie, please. Everything I spend to appease. I've been the best since Pinstripe Lees. I've been the beast since franchise snapping in them big white tees. I'm feeling blessed and I ain't even sneeze, so grip these, nigga. I'm a creator, no Tyler. Pull heat from the hip, make them shake like Tyler. That's a double entendre. The boy got a glow like a 9 to all these brands on the nigga. You would think I was sponsored. Shout, it might need a podcast. Feedback on the mic like a fucked up broadcast. These birds ran through, gotta look up the Carfax. Realist in 4K, gotta step up your format, nigga. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well today. In this particular episode, we're going to be getting into, of course, the boy Drake. Got a new mysterious post that he's put on his Instagram. I guess he's trying to let people into his mindset for things to come. Speaking very cryptically, and we also have an update of a post that he liked on social media having to do with the way that the Billboard charts were revealed this week, the top 200. It seems that people are suspecting foul play with the way that the rankings on the Billboard charts were released, and it seems that Drake might actually be in agreement with people that are thinking some fishy foul play was in action or afoot. I can't necessarily say that, but I do know that the chart data page on Twitter, which is the page that disseminates that information, they put out a tweet kind of criticizing Billboard as well, and they own the motherfuckers. And well, Luminate owns it, but chart data is a part of that conglomerate along with Billboard. So it's very interesting that they called out one of their, kind of sister companies, sister companies in that fashion. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and just pull up this post from Drake first. Because again, he's speaking kind of, I don't know if you want to say it's a rap, a poem. He has this thing on his Champagne Poppy page where he likes to speak in rhymes. I guess champagne poetry. So here we have the post from Drake, and y'all can't see it to the right with the actual caption or whatever, but I'll just read to y'all what it says. He says, I grew up non-confrontational. So it's a very interesting admission there. I grew up non-confrontational and always treated this game as a sport where my pen won gold. But these days, the podium has been hard for all of us to ignore. I understand that this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy, but I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity, that answers some questions, especially about the unanswered text you've been sending me. And then he's got an emoji there with the whoo face, like he was very impressed with what he said. And then in there, we've got this set of photos. So here we've got Drake, and it looks like he's at, somewhere with stained glass windows, but you got a dinner table. So this must be some opulent place. I'm sure you investigators out there would know this place. I don't. Right? We've got this birthday post that he put up of him and Baca. That's Baca to the right with them slugs in his mouth. So clearly he's still around. And maybe this is a deliberate thing, of course, coming off of Not Like Us being the biggest record in the world, and you know, shitting on both him and Baca all throughout it, and having people sing it at the Super Bowl, and it's not going nowhere, right? And it's still a valid question as to why he's around, but to him, I guess it's like showing loyalty. Here we've got this steak ad that ended up coming out about a week or so ago of Drake, where he was like in the middle of some club gambling on steak, rather like he rented the place out to himself. I don't know what this whole confetti hitting the ground and stuff was. Just, you know, I guess playing into the gambling addiction narrative, which it seems like Drake is trying to play into all of the trying to turn all of the negatives that exist about him into some sort of positive, to like make it into a joke, or to, try to, I guess, be rabbit the situation. Like, okay, you're going to say this about me, I'm going to own it, right? Here he says, free the mandem with 6 owls on this jacket. I don't know what homies of his are locked up that need to be freed, but that's what they got here. And I believe the mandem is actually, ain't that the wireless fest? Ain't that what he called the the UK niggas that's gonna be coming out with him? Here we've got this. I cannot begin my day with the confrontation, please. Clearly, this is a piece from a movie. A lot of people were wondering what the fuck this was about with the Zofran pills. I believe these are for stomach irritation or whatever. So one perspective of it could be, you motherfuckers make me sick. It's make me sick to my stomach. But of course, I did see some people also talking about, and I've referenced this before, when Drake alluded to having stomach issues a couple years ago. He was supposed to stop touring around the time Certified Lover Boy and all that stuff was going on, if I'm not mistaken. He was supposed to take a break and not tour no more, and then all of a sudden he was right back on tour. So there's that. Got this selfie, and very, very Zoolandery. Got this here, another one. I don't know who this gentleman is with him. And then there's this empty blue room. Okay? So that's Drake with his Instagram post. But the main takeaway from it was the whole, I grew up non-confrontational. So it seems like he's trying to prepare his fans for things to come. Now, what that could be, I don't know exactly, right? I've been seeing some people circulating a theory from the DJ That Don't Spin that he's claiming that Drake is in a crossroads right now in his career, and this whole Some Sexy Songs for You and whatever this forthcoming solo album is going to be are two huge pillars in his career, possibly the most important moments of his career moving forward, right? So he got the R&B Heartbreak Drake energy out there with PND, and the DJ That Don't Spin is claiming that what people can expect from the next solo record from Drake is introspective, reflective growth, to give people a glimpse into how he's been feeling, what's been going on with him the last couple of years since his last solo album, and of course with everything that took place last year. All of these different things, right? Then you get to this whole, I grew up non-confrontational and always treated this game as a sport when my pen won gold. So to say, I grew up non-confrontational, it seems like he's preparing people for confrontation. Like, I grew up non-confrontational and I always treated the game as a sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just something I enjoyed, the natural competitiveness, and my pen won gold, right? But he's no longer the golden boy. He's no longer that person sitting in that seat that was seemingly untouchable to many people that were watching from the outside looking in. So he says, but these days the podium has been hard for all of us to ignore. And of course, he used to win gold. There's that podium. There's that hierarchy of being number one and standing at that spot while other competitors stand below you. He's no longer in that space. But he says the podium has been hard to ignore. So it sounds to me that Drake wants his spot back. Can he get it back? Personally, I don't know. Right? I feel like there's been a lot of damage that's been done. I feel like he's developed a lot of questionable antics that just don't go into the most favorable way of looking at him, even outside of the beef, even outside the records, even outside, even the questionable shit that people speak on about him in terms of like the Millie Bobby Browns and all of that other type of stuff. He just comes across as a bit corny, you know what I'm saying? To people that are watching. But he says the podium's been hard for all of us to ignore. I understand that this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy. Again, as a person who typically comes across non-confrontational, if he starts trying to be the aggressor or if he starts doing things that are outside of what people would expect from him, I guess, that could leave people uneasy. But he says, I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity. I think that part is very interesting because remember, with his battle with UMG, a lot of people were taking it as Drake is out here taking one for the team. He's taking it for the industry. Excuse me. He's about to clean up house. He's about to expose the label. He's about to expose the industry and blow it up and make it better for artists. And everybody is going to be, at the helm of receiving the benefits because Drake is about to carry the cross. If Virgin Mary had an abortion, he'd still be carried on a chariot with stampeding horses. If y'all don't know where that came from, check back in later. But a lot of people were thinking that that's what was coming. Like that was what he was doing this for, rather than his own personal self-serving reasons, which within the paperwork, it tells you this is all about contract renegotiation and being undervalued by UMG, which is what struck all of this to be. Because I think if UMG would have gave him the money he was looking for, he would have even overlooked a lot of this bullshit with Kendrick, right? But the fact that Kendrick was going to the top of the charts and being able to ride off into the sunset and like, damn, this nigga finna have a solid 1 to 3 years of just like untouchableness. I like being in that spot, but at bare minimum, pay me for my problems. And UMG says, bro, you had an unlimited, you had that unlimited motherfucking Amex. This time around, we're going to have to enforce some limits. And you're like, huh, me? What? Not me. I'm sick of this shit. Right? So I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity. So don't think he's coming to save you motherfuckers, right? That answers some questions, especially about the unanswered text you've been sending me. Now, who's been sending him the text that he's not responding to? I don't know. Maybe some people are reaching out to him trying to piece it up after his so-called 20v1, right? It could be the Futures of the world, the Metro Boomins of the world, the Rick Rosses of the world, perhaps the French Montanas of the world. It could be, I doubt it would be ASAP. Weekend, whoever you want to put in there, you know what I'm saying? Other folks that might have felt like they chimed in favorably towards Kendrick rather than him, that are trying to, test the waters and see if they still cool. I don't know who's reaching out to Drake, sending unanswered texts, but apparently he's talking to somebody out there that's trying to check in and check the temperature, and he's not giving them no type of reception, right? So he says, hopefully this answers the questions, right? And again, that could also be some folks from UMG that he feels pick sides and maybe they're trying to make peace. I doubt it. But of course, there is some form of communication between them to try to get mediation and discovery and try to find an amicable solution for their legal issues before they set forth into pretrial conferences. And of course, UMG is about to send their their motion for dismissal through any day now. They have until the 17th to submit that to the courts. So there's a lot of different things at hand that are in the possible ballpark of what he's talking about. But of course, none of us know exactly what he's referencing. And trying to decode it is just kind of crazy. But I'm just speaking hypothetically here, right? Now, outside of that, there's also this whole Billboard thing that took place in the last couple of days because a lot of people were waiting to see how the results were going to be because the big battle was where was GNX going to fall? Where was some sexy songs for you going to fall? Because, of course, there was a slight shift in position, right? GNX number one, then some sexy songs for you went number one, GNX went number three, and you also have like the Sabrina Carpenter, where was she gonna fall on the list? And Billboard ended up delaying their release of the results and said that it would come out yesterday. Then as yesterday came, there was still some sort of delay about that. The results are now in. Kendrick is back at number one with another 90,000 sold off of GNX. Some sexy songs for you is in the number two slot, and the difference, between the two albums is like they say it's anywhere between 3 to 500 copies, that are separating the two from that spot. And of course, the Drake fans out there are out here trying to call foul play, saying y'all are manipulating the numbers, y'all are manipulating the results to ensure that Kendrick stays number one. Now, to me, I'm gonna give you two responses to this. Number one, the fact that Kendrick Lamar just sold another 90,000 copies for a 5-month-old album, I don't think we've really seen that before. You know what I'm saying? Where a 5-month-old album is still battling it out with new shit from like top tier motherfuckers in terms of mainstream success and what you expect, right? So the fact that it's even that close is crazy when Drake just dropped a couple weeks ago. But then if you want to lean into the conspiracy that the industry is favoring Kendrick Lamar rather than Drake and they're manipulating, maybe some sort of, I don't know what you would even think they're manipulating. But if you want to go with that, the fact that the margin is that fucking close is still not favorable to Drake because you're supposed to be the boy. You're supposed to be the golden child. And your brand new project is still competing with homie's 5 going on 6-month album that ain't got no new music videos have been released, no nothing. I mean, of course, he did go on the Super Bowl and that supercharged the music. But you would think, okay, that should be dying down. That should be going backwards. That should be, regressing by now. You know what I'm saying? Super Bowl is over with. But then you look around and you start seeing, damn, they talking about the Super Bowl performance on YouTube alone has already hit 100 million in less than a month. 100 million views. Which means people are going back and watching this shit quite frequently. So that goes to show you that, I mean, he has the people right now. He has the culture. He has the people just locked into his movements. We've seen so many people recreating the performance. We see people out here going out and purchasing the fucking flare jeans, you know what I'm saying, trying to get their looks together for the spring. Like, I don't think nobody predicted that he would be that person in that position because Kendrick typically isn't like, he's fashionable in his own way, but he's never been like the fashion, I need to follow his trend of how he looks or what he's wearing type guy. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, Kendrick has presented himself as a fairly regular dude outside of the Mr. Morale era where he kind of flipped his style up a bit. So it's very interesting because in Drake's position, Even if you want to be number one and you say, man, we really outsold him this week, but y'all flip that around, which would be a conspiracy if that were the case. But the fact that it's even that fucking close, you shouldn't even be giving no energy to that because it still looks bad. Right? So here's what this person posted that Drake liked on social media that he's kind of, I guess, leaning into or showing some form of agreement or solidarity with. And I got to correct myself. It was Tate McRae, not Sabrina Carpenter, for that other person that was competing. But this guy here, Kev Talk, says, still waiting. So this was before the results were released. Still waiting. The more these labels play these new games, and honestly at this point are just begging for federal investigation into their petty payola games, is going to get more and more exposed. And of course, Drake's whole MO right now is investigating UMG for potential payola. There's going to be questions as to why, for the first times in history, multiple times in the same calendar, there's been multiple coinky-dink delays on a system that's never really failed to have results early and prompt, but now have delays that go into the following week. The fact that Drake keeps up with no airplay lets you know a lot. So they're basically trying to say that the fact that Drake is even in the runnings when he's not receiving any airplay shows just how much of a stronghold he has. And I've acknowledged he has a very big fan base. You know what I'm saying? The issue is that watching him do this without the label support, it looks vastly different. Although he's still achieving results, it looks vastly different than when he had the label support. His support has still been halved, damn near. But that doesn't, it doesn't mean that he's like at the bottom of the barrel or anything. It's just you see the decrease. Anyway, he says, personally, I love it. It's just more clear-cut indication of how the industry works. And a lot of people, especially artists, are realizing it was never up to them. It was a lose game from jump. And the chart is never really a measure in entirety. It's who is getting championed the most by the label and the rare organic and fan base driven win. Now, this stanza right here, I don't see why Drake would want to identify with this, because it just points out the fact that for all the 10, 15 years that he was on top, it further emphasizes that he was the chosen goose. So it wasn't so much about organics. It wasn't so much about who had the best music or who was the illest rapper. It was you provided people with listenable music, danceable music, and he produced some good shit along the way. I'm not going to lie to y'all. And I was a reluctant Drake listener at one point, just because I didn't, I just didn't see it. Like, I understood he was talented, but when he switched to like making mainstream music and he wanted to do more singing and more of that shit, I was like, I don't know about that guy. Right? That was my perspective. We don't have to agree. But that stanza, to my sum, is just more clear indication of how the industry works. And a lot of people, especially artists, realizing it was never up to them. It was a lose game from the jump. That was never Drake's story, that it was a lose game from the jump. That nigga was the chosen nigga. I remember it very vividly when all the Queen Latifahs and all of these people came out and championed him and acted like he was the first rapper of all time to come out rapping and singing on the same project, when we had numerous people that did it before him. But the industry acted as if he was the new shit, an anomaly, some shit we never seen before. And he was a force to be reckoned with, right? But it also goes to having the biggest musical conglomerate in the music industry financing it and championing it, and coming off of the success of Lil Wayne and saying, all right, he's the one. And Nicki Minaj, this is the triumvirate right here. We're putting we're putting everything in these baskets. Right? And it worked out. So to try to act like all of a sudden you're being victimized by the industry and it was never about talent, it was never about good music, it was never about being organic. Now it actually shows, yeah, if we're standing by that in 2025, then it must have been true in prior years when you was the nigga. But now that you're not the chosen, you feel away. And that's just being extremely objective For any Drake fans out there, I know y'all gonna be swinging and windmilling in my comments, but it doesn't help you in no way. It's not gonna change nothing. Last piece. It'll be fun to see what happens. I'll laugh if Tate McRae ends up taking it, and I can see that happening to save face. But for Kenny to be doing other artists' debut numbers months in as if he's Taylor Swift, even on some level, he knows he ain't him. Now, how that supposed to work? Why would he ever say I'm not him? What the hell? What? Did Drake ever have to come out and say he ain't him? That's craziness. Mind you, with no music videos or anything unless they've been secretly including the Super Bowl performance toward those 3 songs, which is hilarious. So he is trying to say that UMG is somehow tallying the views from Super Bowl, the 100 million I was just talking about, which I'm sure is nice into 100 million by now because they announced it a couple of days ago, to translate into sales. I think, on the other hand, if we're being logical, using common sense, if there's 100 million people watching the Super Bowl, I would assume a lot of those people, because it was just 20 something, 30 something on YouTube, these people are repeat watchers and listeners. Therefore, they're probably going, and when they're not watching that, they going and fucking listening to that nigga catalog and listening to fucking G and X and turning niggas' TVs off. This fucking Luther shit is popping. This goddamn Dodger Blue shit on a cultural level is popping. You got motherfuckers doing line dance. You know what it take for motherfuckers to create and stand behind a line dance? That ain't some overnight shit that niggas just do and just be sticking with. The people that be line dancing are like, they do that shit for real. They're not just gonna accept any old song. So, Mr. Kev Talks, we see where you're coming from. I don't know why you even tag J. Cole in this, because he had J. Cole picture on it. Like, J. Cole got some new shit out that's supposed to be charting. I mean, J. Cole dropped a fucking song on his website. That don't even count, bro. And that's coming from a nigga that's been shooting for J. Cole. But as y'all can see at the top, Champagne Poppy gives his cosign. He liked the post. Seems he agrees with this take. But I think it's detrimental for him to agree with this take, because again, all it is like a self-admission of, when you were in that position, you were receiving all those same benefits that you're now complaining about another artist having, which I don't give a fuck what you talking about or how y'all feel about it. I'm never going to identify with no shit like that, because if it was okay when you was in position, when the next person gets their ass in that seat and they receive whatever benefits come with being the number one person or being the label's chosen, that comes with the territory. It doesn't end after you are removed, right? So quit bitching and moaning and get to the solo album. You know what I'm saying? Go prove whatever it is that you think you want to prove in court. We're going to talk about it. It's going to continue to be chatter. It's going to continue to be water cooler talk. So go ahead, do that. Do whatever you got to do to your heart's content. Feed your fans and go from there, man. Like, you're now getting to experience what the rest of the field looks like. And you haven't had to do that for the majority of your career, damn near the entirety of it. So now it's an imbalance. Now it's not equal. Now it's a lose game. Come the fuck on. You gonna file paperwork talking about, oh man, you know, it's a lost game for artists to release music and all of this shit, bro. Come the fuck on. When you was the face of the entire Spotify catalog, what was that? But I'll be talking till my face turns blue if we really go down that rabbit hole. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace. King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they died of me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross some out, came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.